So Mr. DeLorean, it's tapeworm inside his small intestine. Let's take a look. Tapeworms are just one species of many, many invertebrates in the world, ranging from sea sponges right down to the largest crustaceans. Let's start with porifera. Porifera are the simplest animals out there. They lack a mouth, anus, and tissue. They don't do anything. They just sit there, and they're definitely not as happy as the one behind me. And it's derived from the Latin words of porus, meaning poor, and fera, which means to bear. So it's poor bear. They're filled with little tiny, like, some of them are microscopic holes in which they filter the water and they filter feed. And they are the only asymmetrical animal, meaning if I were to draw a dotted line down through it, they would, both sides of the line would not line up. Next is the phylum of flatworms. In Greek, this name means flatworms. They are creepy critters, as you saw the tapeworm in Mr. DeLorean. Pretty nasty. The longest tapeworm ever recorded inside a human was 33 meters long. Jeez. Yeah, it creeps me out too. Well, it's like a flat piece of meat, to say the least, that moves around in odd ways. Its environments are usually damp terrestrial regions, if not fresh or marine water. And, well, its reproduction habits are really weird. I hesitate to say, but they can reproduce sexually and asexually. And, like the Cnidaria, they contain a gastrovascular cavity. And also, another interesting fact is that they contain something in their skin called augmentary exchange, where they exchange gases through pores in their skin. They are pretty colorful creatures, but as most of you would probably think, disgusting. Another phylum of worms are called nematodes, which literally mean thread-like. They are the second most diverse creatures after the arthropods, and they can live anywhere from Antarctica to deep oceanic trenches. Nematodes also can be parasites, living in humans and other animals. And they are a step up from the flatworms. They're more complex, and they have a complete digestive system, complete with a separate excretory pore. Reproduction is sexual and happens in a way similar to more complex animals. And another interesting fact about this worm is that it has a hydrostatic skeletal system, which is outside and keeps the worm from increasing its volume. They molt, which is kind of weird, and they form new cuticles, which are tougher than the original. And next are the annelida, which means segmented worms. Yes, I know, worms are disgusting and stuff, but I have to do them. Anyway, they live in wetlands to aquatic areas to terrestrial regions. They are more complex than the previous type of worm, the nematodes. They contain a separate nervous system and a separate vascular system, with the digestive system, which also contains a separate excretory pore. And reproduction can occur both sexually and asexually, depending on the species. See that? That's a giant squid. They belong to the phylum Mollusca, which means soft-bodied. They range from octopuses down to the squid and the mussels. And its anatomy is even more complex. It is a separate nervous system, excretory, and digestion. It also has a circulatory, respiratory systems. They're all separate. Again, all mollusks are divided into, according to their anatomy. They have a body, which also contains a head, and a viscera, which contains the organs, and branching off from those can either be a muscular foot or tentacles, like with the squid and octopus. They also have bilateral, which is you can cut right down the middle and both sides look the same, and radial symmetry, when you can cut stuff like a pie, where into many different things that are equal to each other. Okay, the next phylum is Echodermata. They contain the ectoderms, and these hardly move. We don't even know if they move, but they are starfish, sea urchins, and sea cucumbers. There's a lot more, but those are only a few. These lack a true brain and nervous system. Instead, they have ganglia, which is just a grouping of nerves from everywhere. They also have radial symmetry. As I said, they can be cut to stuff like a pie. Speaking of which, if you cut them up like a pie, they can actually grow back. Not together, but if one piece can form into another ectoderm, like a starfish, depending on what it was before, but in the course of several months. Ectoderms are all aquatic. They also contain a water vascular system, in which they use to filter water through them for feeding and locomotion. Also, reproduction is sexual and takes place externally. Next is the most diverse of all invertebrates, the arthropods. They range anywhere from crustaceans down to arachnids. The largest is the Japanese crab, the spider crab, Japanese spider crab, as you can see behind me. Very creepy looking. It can have, those legs can range from anywhere from like 3 feet to 12 feet. Kind of scary. They also periodically molt their exoskeleton system, which is made of chitin, to make it stronger. They also have different respiratory systems in almost every species. Some have gills, others don't. Some of them have tracheal systems, which are pores in the exoskeleton that allow them to exchange gases with the environment. Next is the phylum Cnidaria. Cnidaria is all the stinging animals. It pretty much means stinging needle. Out of all these are the jellyfish, coral, and a sea anemone. Here's me fighting a jellyfish. Okay. Back away, jellyfish! Back off! Back off!